Hi everyone and happy Monday. We have a page from Magical Jungle. Well, I think this is a double page from Magical Jungle, but we've just got half of it to do today. And there's a lot of background going on here and things like that. But I have been very lucky and been sent a set of pencils from a lovely lady called Debbie. She asked me if I wanted a set of lightly used Caran D'Ache Pablo pencils, and I jumped at the chance. She's very kind, and she sent it to me. She already had them in a case, so I don't have the tin, which is absolutely fine. She has them in this case, which actually is really nice, and all arranged in order. And I have actually had a go with these already because they wasn't a brand new sort of unboxing type thing. That's one I had myself. I had one to try, really liked them, put the 10 set on my wish list because they're so expensive, and she sent me the whole full 120, which you can see some of them are a little bit more used, but most of them hardly used at all. And so I tried them out for one picture and they're beautiful, and I thought I would use them for this one as well. She also included a swatch chart which she has completed. It says it's designed by Becky's DIY colorcharts.etsy.com, so I don't know if that's probably one that she's bought. You know, usually buy things from Etsy, and she swatched them out, so that's really handy. It just gives you a quick idea of the colours. I'm not going to be using every colour. There's 120, and I don't think this picture warrants all these shades and tones, but I thought you can just have a quick look. So you've got quite a big range of yellows. There's quite a lot of light yellows again, which I'm never normally very keen on, but that's fine. There's still quite a lot of vibrant ones too, which is really good. You've got an apricot and then your oranges and reds, or orangey reds and pinky reds. There isn't, it struck me, a very vibrant red, but actually when I've tried the carmine and the scarlet, they're pretty cool. I haven't used all of them yet. We've got a nice sort of salmony pink range there for sort of the pale skin tones, would work, but also nice. Actually, I like doing flowers and things in those colours. And then the sort of pinky purples, and then we move into the sort of more bluey purples, and then lots and lots of blues, and a nice range of different blues. There aren't, these two look fairly similar, but there aren't lots that are so close, which you do get in some sets. And then you've got turquoises leading into your greens. Now with the greens, it also struck me there's a lot about here. These are all your sort of olivey greens. You haven't got many bluey greens, only a few, and quite a lot of mid greens. Now for me, that's brilliant. The bluey greens, like this malachite green here, is very bluey, and you could mix that with any of these if you want them to be a little bit more bluey. So there's not sort of any phthalo greens and that sort of thing, but as I say, that's okay, it suits me. We've got our ochres here, and then we've got quite a lot of reddy browns. These are colours I don't tend to use much, probably because in my polychromo set, which I use the most, there aren't many of these, but that's okay. They're sort of more sienna-y type colours. But we also got quite a nice selection of dark browns. We don't have a really light beige. These beiges look quite grey, but I feel that mixing the brown ochre is quite pale, and I think maybe this light beige with a little bit of brown could work as a light beige. We've got a really pale grey there and a silvery grey, but we've got a mix of mainly cold greys. There aren't many warm greys, but the Bistro and Cocoa could be mixed with a lighter grey to make a French grey, browny grey. And we've got two blacks, which was quite interesting. There's the ivory black and the black, and it occurs to me that the ivory black is blacker than the black, which is a bit greyer, but these are all fairly close, but that's okay. And then we've got three metallics. As with all metallic pencils, they're not hugely shiny. The silver is shinier than the rest, and they're quite similar, those three, to the poly chromos ones. But I've had a go. I've done two pictures, 1.5, and I'm really loving how they go down, and I'll rave about them more as we get on and do some colouring. So I'm not sure how long this page is going to take, whether it's going to be a selection of videos or not, but we're just going to come in to this corner here and start trying a few greens. I know green is like what we always use for leaves, but why not? So this is the dark green. It is the darkest of the greens as far as I can tell. Oh no, there's a, hang on. The spruce green is a little bit darker, but I'm going to use this one, and I'm just going to start at the top and put a dark bit here and then fade it a bit, and we'll add another colour on after, like that. Now, as a polychromos lover, I found these went down very nicely for my sort of technique, if you understand what I mean. So as I press harder and layer up here, I get a nice vibrant colour, and then I can easily fade it down. That's exactly what I like to do. Normally, with a brand new set of pencils, it takes me a while to learn how to use them. You know, you take a little, no, I just took to them right away. So, and what I found, personally, I feel that they are a little bit softer than polychromos, a little bit more intense. You don't need to layer up quite as much, I don't think. But, yeah, I've only used them a few times. And even I was thinking this morning, if someone said to me, you can only ever use one set of pencils again, which one would it be? I think I would opt for these. And, you know, it's like before I tried these, I would have said polychromos every time. But, you know, but I haven't used them that much. So we'll see. But that's sort of my thoughts. Now, they are hexagonal, which I know for some people can be a little bit problematic with regards to calluses and things like that. If you press too hard, you're going to get an indentation on your finger. Look at that. I'm used to it. I don't, because I colour so much, I don't get blisters there. I have done in the past when I first started. When I sort of first started colouring, I didn't, because I didn't do it very often. I did daily, but not, you know, and as I coloured more and more, sometimes I did get one. But now I'm sort of colour full time, my skin is tough. The place I tend to get blisters is actually here. And that's when I'm using a pen and I'm not lifting up off the paper so much to change colour or whatever. I don't know why it is when I use pens. Maybe, I've got no idea really. I'm just trying to dig around for reasonings, and I don't really have any. But I'm just going over these edge bits a little bit where they're overlapping. So that's something to consider. The name is printed on in gold on all of them, but on this side the barcode is in different colours, which is strange. So on some it's black and some it's white, depending on the colour of the pencil. But these are still always in gold, so when they hit the light, or you know, they're hard to read. But we know that most pencils have their names in gold, and makes it difficult to read sometimes. But it does make them look more luxurious, should we say. Now these are very, very expensive pencils, don't get me wrong. This is why I haven't bought them before. I'm trying to think, in the UK the price is probably similar to polys and prismas. I'm thinking it might be slightly different, but it's in that price bracket, let's say. Now I know in other countries, like in America, prismas are significantly cheaper than polys. In the UK that's not the case. Now because they're Swiss, the Caran D'Ache, the export duty or import duty, whatever it is very expensive for us in the UK. I think it's true of most countries. So that makes the price extra expensive. And there's nothing we can do about that. It's just the way the country works. They put a high duty on the pencils. So even when we were a member of the EU in the UK, it didn't make them any cheaper. Switzerland have a sort of separate EU deal, and you know, it was still expensive. So that contributes to the high price. I assumed that these were Caran D'Ache's budget range and that Luminance were their professional range. But I think I'm wrong, because although Luminance are obviously a high quality range of pencils and they're expensive, I think these are more expensive. Having done, my husband did a bit of research. He went, "Do you realise how much these cost?" So anyway, so that was quite interesting and enlightening, should we say. I am going to use a lighter green now. I'm just choosing. This one is slightly bluish. I think I'm going to use the greyish green. I haven't used it before. Whoa. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm actually going to finish these with this. I'm going to go a bit over what I've done and just take it to the edge. If you're using a different brand, just go for a slightly lighter pencil, you know, in the same colour. So if you were using polychromos, you could have started with a pine green and used a permanent green or something. It wouldn't look the same. You can't. I will I expect you will want me to do some charts of comparative colours between different brands with these and other major brands, maybe. Let me know if you do want me to do those. I can do some, put them in my Ko-fi shop. So, you know, like this brand and its nearest equivalents to polys or prismas or whatever. I'm very fortunate to now have the full set of prismas and polys, so I can do that for you. If you want it, let me know, because I have made some charts and people haven't really downloaded them, so I only want to do them if they're useful to you. So and you know, it takes time, so I might as well do one that you're gonna want. Even if it's just one of you, I'm happy to do it. But if none of you want it, then no. So let me know. And if there's any other charts, comparison charts you want at all, I've done quite a few anyway. You might, and if you can't, if you want to know if I've done one, and maybe I have, I can send you the link or whatever. It's easy for me to do that. So just let me know. But I find they layer up nicely. I mean, they don't smoosh around like prismas when you're blending. I would never expect a harder pencil to do that. But I like the way they go down. You can hear they're fairly hard. I haven't sharpened any yet, so I can't tell you about that. These all came beautifully sharpened. I think Debbie must have done it on either a hand crank or an electric sharpener. They were all beautifully sharp. I assume they don't come like that. I've already started wearing some of them down a little bit. But that's okay. But as I say, I haven't tried all of them because, you know, I just I coloured a picture and it demanded certain colours, sort of thing. What else can I say? They come in different size tins. There's a 12 set. They also come open stock, which is really good and important for a lot of people because you want to be able to replace the ones you like, particularly as I noticed what was it that I thought I would use up quickly? No, I can't remember now. I think it might have been a bright yellow or something like that, that I thought, you know, I might be replacing this one a fair bit. Now you can buy them from colouredpencil.shop, which she's an independent UK pencil supplier and artist. I buy a lot of my open stock from her, but you can also buy them on Amazon. I suspect that Cult Pens would probably have them. I'm guessing now though. And I'm going to grab the spruce green and just do a little bit in between where they're overlapping, because now I've done that top layer, I've lost some of the definition in here, so I'm just going to use, as I say, the spruce green, which is slightly darker, to do this, to put a little bit of shadow in between them. Where else might you go? I suspect that Pegasus Art might have them too. No, they don't. No, they're my local art shop. They're a bit limited in theirs. Who was I thinking of? Cult Pens. Jackson's, that's it. Jackson's might have them. I'll have a look. I'll put some links in the bottom. That's what I'll do. you can see just defining these edges a little bit again, because when you go over with another colour it slightly lightens and it gives us a slightly more three-dimensional effect on our leaves. Now we're in the magical jungle, we really shouldn't be sticking to greens all the time for our leaves, but hey, that's that one. Now we've got this big leaf here and a big leaf here. Yeah, they are a pair, aren't they? So should we do those next? And I want a completely different shade of green. So I'm just looking at the swatch chart, having not been massively familiar yet with all the different colours. I think we'll go for something a little bit paler. Let's go for this yellow green. This is what I would say was a spring green, maybe? What I'm actually going to do is just colour in the whole of this leaf bar the edge, just gently with this, just block it in and we'll see how it looks. It's quite a big area of leaf to cover, and so that can be quite daunting. I'm just gently working my way around it. Sometimes it can be just quite relaxing doing a larger area. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky getting it even, and I find if you go quickly that can make it messier. But if you want to go quickly, hold your pencil near the end on the side and like that, whereas I'm holding mine a little bit closer to the end, so I'm trying to do little circles because my pencil's quite blunt as well, which is quite useful for a bigger area, I find. If it's pointy and sharp, you can get, it doesn't always look as neat. I don't know what's going on behind here, because I think this would be green, wouldn't it? This leaf would come up here. It's quite difficult near the edge of the page. If you don't go that way, if you go that way you're okay, but if you try and pull back that way you're going to pull up the paper and spoil the page. I'm sure most of you know that by now, but working right on the edge is often tricky. Sometimes I just go across like that in a little line so that I don't spoil the paper. So that's quite pale, which I think gives a nice contrast to this one, but it's not so pale it doesn't look like I've done anything. And I'm going to just do this one the same. I think it's quite nice and makes it a little bit easier when you're doing a page with lots and lots of greenery or flowers to do them in little clusters of the same design / colours. It makes it easier with regards to choosing colour, I find, because you don't have to keep thinking about which colour am I going to do this one, what am I going to do this one, because you know you're going to do a whole little bunch in one sort of set of colour. And I think it also looks a little bit better somehow. And if you think about your flowers in your garden, or when you're out and about, if you've got the same shaped leaf, it's usually on the same plant, so it's going to be the same-ish colour. No leaf is identical to another leaf, which is a relief, because this leaf isn't identical to this leaf, even though they're coloured in the same colour. So that's good, it doesn't matter, it looks a bit more natural. Now for this little bit around the edge, I'm going to choose a slightly different colour and then see how it sort of works out. I think I'm going to go slightly darker. I think that a sort of outline can look nicer in a slightly darker green. So this is grass green, and I think this is quite similar to the grass green in the polychromos, to be honest. And this one is probably quite like the light green. So I think some of the names are quite similar too, but some of them are unique. There is a veronese green and empire green. I've never heard any pencil set with those names. You know, opaline green, which are all rather nice names, aren't they? It's really sunny already. I think it's going to be a hot day. The temperatures are getting up to about 15-16 degrees. It's getting a little bit too warm for me, to be honest, already. It's only May. but I'm going to go out. What time is it? Yeah, I'm going to go out soon before it gets too warm. It's 9:45 at the minute. I need to go to a shop and I don't know what time it opens. Now, no shop opens later than 10 o'clock. So I thought if I got out after 10, then I would be sure it was open. I was actually going to leave about 9:45, but we're still recording. I'll do a bit more first. I think this is definitely going to be a 2-video recording. I'm just going back over because it's a little bit messy. There we go. So there's that. Now I'm thinking it's okay, but it's quite plain. So what can I do to make it look a little bit more exciting? I am going to grab the Veronese green just because the name caught my eye. And I'm just going to do a little bit on the edge like this and just sort of fade it in a bit just to make the leaf look a little bit more interesting. I'm not going to do too much. Oh, I can hear someone doing some work. My neighbours over the back are having major work done on their house, and I can often hear drilling and things. It's okay, it's only in the daytime. And actually my neighbour on the other side, he's a carpenter, so he's often making all sorts of type noises. He's not there today. But now here where they're overlapping, there's going to be a bit of shadow. Now we can draw that in with any colour really, but I'm going to try it with this. Just make a more defined colour and see whether it works. If it doesn't look dark enough, I think this will. You can do it with a brown. Yeah, I think that's fine. There we go. So there's that set of leaves. Where should we go now? We've got these here. Let's do these in a sort of olivey set. We've got a, what have we got? Olive grey. Let's start with the, start with the olive grey. Sorry, that was blurred, wasn't it? I could just about see my little screen. And so I'm going to put down quite a lot of layers here. And then fade it down a little bit. So the very kind Debbie, as well as sending me these, she sent me a very lightly used tin of polycolours. Now I've already got 2 sets of polycolours, and this one is the even bigger set than the ones I've got, and I do like those too. I haven't tried those out yet. I've been too excited about trying these, to be honest. But I was in the middle of 2. I'm just seeing if there's any more like this, but there isn't. We'll leave that there. Now we'll go for the olive. Oops. I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit lighter. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be significantly lighter. Just a little bit. So I'm not going to extend too far. So I want there to be a colour that looks a bit different on the end. Yeah, I was finishing a couple of pictures that I'd started, so I had to do that first. I don't leave unfinished pictures, she says, having just admitted there were 2 that she started, but I'm going to use the green ochre for the bottom. One was for a video that I'd started, so I had to finish it, and one was another one that I was in the middle of, so I finished those first. Oops, I coloured onto the monkey's tail. Never mind. It's when I add a yellowy colour to green, I always go over the whole thing. I think it makes it all look nice and vibrant and warm. And because we've got those darker colours underneath up here, you can still see the difference. So they're quite transparent. Some pencils are less transparent, and so if you go over the top you can't see through. I am only doing it lightly up here, and I'm layering up more down here, and then a bit lighter again towards the tip. Now you could continue these colours into these, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. But in between here I think we could put a little bit of shadow. I'm actually going to use a sepia for that. It's quite a lot darker. I feel I want a bit of shadow from that leaf there. Like that, and then in between these two. There we go. Just a little touch, you don't have to. Just okay. Now we have these, and I think, I'm looking at the time, I need to go out. I think I'll show you one of these, and then we'll do all these the same, and I'll finish that on my own. I think that's going to be better, or else we're going to be here a really long time. So I'm going to look at a different set of greens. What have we got? We've got a sort of light, very much lighter greens in the sort of khaki lime green type section, but I think we'll go for more bluey greens, I think, just so it looks a little bit different. The bluish green is probably quite dark, so we'll start with that, and I will hope that it's a bit darker than the edge of that leaf, which it is. So put down a nice layer and then reduce it down, do less layers down here, just sort of fade it out. There we go, so that's the bluish green, and then I want something a little lighter. I think the Empire Green's a bit lighter, but not that much lighter. I think I'll go for the Peacock Green, which is even lighter. And I'm not going to go all the way to the end. Well, I am, but only very lightly like that, because I'm going to finish with a really light colour. Do I use the... I think I would. I think I'll go for the jade green. It's really quite bluey, but I think it will just make these particular leaves look quite different. So I'm just spreading it up, filling in the gaps basically. There we go. Now I will want a bit of shadow in here. I think I'm just going to use the sepia again, although it's a bit brown. I think I'll use a grey actually. Whoops! I'm going to use the slate grey. It's a little bit more grey rather than brown, which I think will match with these more bluey leaves better, and just put that in there to create a little bit of shadow. I shouldn't have gone there, but never mind. So what I'm going to do with all of these is put a bit of that in there, and where the leaves overlap each other, and I'm going to do all this bunch of leaves here all in this selection of colours. Okay, and I'm just going to do this one of this bunch as well, and they'll all be the same, and then in the next video we can finish the smaller details, the animals and the vines and the flowers, and we can do a bit of a background as well, I think, so that'll sort of balance it out, I think, time wise. So with these I'm quite interested to try out the moss green, yeah, and the sort of lighter olives. So I'm going to start with the moss green. Where are we? Here. Yeah, we'll just start with this one. It's quite a big one actually. We have to see whether this is dark or light. I'm going across there just to get past that paper edge. and then just fade it down a bit. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go, there is an olive yellow which is very pale. I don't know if I want to go for a light olive first. I'm tempted just to try this one, it's so pretty. It looks a bit like a chartreuse yellow that you get in the Prismacolor. You don't get anything. I think the closest in a poly would be the May Green, but it's quite a lot more yellowy. There's quite a jump of colour. Might have been better off doing the other one in between. I want to darken that up quite a bit so it shows up. And that hasn't come together brilliantly. I'm actually going to use the light olive like I had considered using in between the two. So just to help with it to blend a little bit neater. Going from quite dark to quite light is quite tricky. So ideally I would have used this before that lighter colour, but that'll do. I'll get away with it. And then for this one I am going to go back and use the sepia for the shadows along here rather than the slate grey, because I think this browny colour would work better. And just put that along all the edges. Now you could put a little bit along here as well if you wanted this to look like it's sticking up from that. I don't think I'm going to do that. I do it sometimes, but I'm not sure that always looks brilliant. So I am going to finish these and finish these. So this one is going to be the same as all those. This one is going to be the same as all those. Okay, and I'm going to finish that and I will take a photo for you, pop it at the end, and then tomorrow I will come back and we'll do all this detailing and some sort of background. It will be an easy pastel background, it won't be anything too sophisticated, but hopefully it'll tie it together. That's my plan. We'll see what happens. But for now, that's me. I'm off to the shop. I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope that's okay. And you can come and join me tomorrow to finish it all off. So thank you for watching and happy colouring.